Hello students, let us continue the Romantic period. We have already discussed about Coleridge and Wordsworth and how the Romanticism started with the publication of lyrical ballads. So now we have a very interesting writer, Walter Scott, another Scott who developed his interest in the old tales, the modern and European poetry into a career as poet and a great novelist. He has already concentrated on the historical novels. Then his works are The Lady of the Lake, The Lay of the Last Minstrel. Now he belongs to the first generation. So we have Wordsworth, Coleridge and Scott in the first generation. We'll go to the younger generation who are very enthusiastic about the nature. So let us start with Lord Byron. So greatness of Coleridge as a romantic, whether Coleridge has been called the high priest of the Romanticism and the ancient mariner, and after him we have the greatest writer, the Byron. Byron was more completely a child of the revolution and then either of Wordsworth or Coleridge. In him, we find complete fulfillment of the cosmopolitanism of the revolutionary philosophy. He could lay down his life fighting for the liberty of the Greece, but the ideals of the revolution as such occupy a small place in his poetry. In its political results, the revolution seemed to him a fuse failure, thought it impressed his imagination as something wonderful. Byron was born a rebel. He had a great passion for liberty. Of all the great poets of England, Byron is the most subjective. Byron's treatment of nature is distinctive, different from that of Romantic school. The charm of his nature poetry lies in the beautiful description of the picture we experienced related with a great passion. In the description of nature, that Byron is most original. There are some who says that Byron lacked the lyrical faculty. Byron's poetry is marked by large and sweeping imagination and a grand rush of passions. It cannot be deemed that Byron was one of the greatest pioneers of Romanticism. Byron's greatest and the most important contribution to English Romantic poetry was the addition of passion. The note of passion in Byron's most essential contribution to the reawakening of English poetry. Keats was accepted into the past, Shelley dreaming of the future. Byron is essentially a poet of man's in the present. So courage is his central theme. His important poems are his strong individuality. You can see his wit and satire and a great love for the nature. You can see the works of him, the Curse of Minerva, the Waltz, the Corsair, the Lara, the Giappam, the Bride of Bedos, and the Hebrew Melodies, and Parisia, Child Heralds, the Vision of the Judgment, then Don John. You can see there are some political satires also. So we appreciating him, we have Shelley, P.B. Shelley, who has been one of the leading poets. Shelley represented the influence of idealistic aspects of the revolutionary philosophy, nature and selfish society ought to be in a fall vigor in Shelley. As he tells us, Shelley revolts was in the favor of abstract ideas. All his poetry is an expression of his dissatisfaction with the things as he found them, as well as of his intensive aspiration for ideal beauty ideal love and ideal liberty. He was against kingship and prized that for the Godwins thought him that kings and priests were symbols of the tyranny and injustice. He was opposed to the marriage tie, for it was often an obstacle in the way of true love. So you can notice some of his works. Then these are the characteristics of him: revolutionary, idealism, transcendentalism, prophetic note of the visionary note, effectiveness of Shelley's poetry. They cause the effectiveness. Shelley's conception of nature was very different. Shelley loved the nature, and his interesting poem was Finn's Map. It is the poet's cry against war, marriage, government and religion. And in the revolt of Islam, he denounces all the forces of the tyranny and oppressions represented by kings and the priests who dominated the world and the ruled selfishly from one corner to another. In Mask of the Anarchy, he exhorts the people of England to rise against the tyrants, for they are many, they are few. Hellas is a triumphant storm celebrating the victory of good and evil. Prometheus Unbound is a passionate outburst of indignation against celestial tyranny. It represents the victory of the good over the ill, or the evil. Shelley was one farmer as well as a prophet. He wanted the west wind to be a trump of his prophecy. And you can see some of the important lines of him. And these are the works, noted works, as I just told you: Finn's Mouth, Hymn to Intellectual Beauty, Hymn to Apollo, Ode to Liberty, Ode to Naples, and the Triumph of the Life. If winter comes, can spring be far beyond? So these are the interesting words of him. Shelley finds joy in nature. His art denounces with joy to hear the music of the skylark. In his poems, we notice his love for wilder and vaster in nature. Wordsworth loved static, the quest and the fixed in nature. More characters of Shelley is the love for the nature than love for the nature, as in the flux. Nature in Shelley is ever changing, ever becoming, and ever growing into something different. He is therefore interested in doing these forms. Shelley goes to the outdoor worlds, then Shelley could be pictorial, well dressed like Keats. So next interesting writer is Keats. John Keats was a London poet, especially known for his odes and the sonnets, and known for the letters and contain many reflections of the poetry. Then he is known for the imagination. He is been addressed as a philosopher of beauty. All the beautiful quotations belong to him. Beauty is truth, truth is beauty. So, regarding Keats, the French Revolution influenced Wordsworth, Coleridge and Blake on the sentimental side, Shelley on the intellectual side, Byron on the political side. It has no perceptive influence on Keats. He shows not for the least trace of his ever having occurred. Though attempts have been made to read revolutionary implications into his Hyperion. Hyperion is his epic. It will be more proper to say that the heart was wholly unaffected by the great upheaval in France and Europe. He is known for these characteristics. He is known for he is addressed or known as a sensuous poet and known for the picaresqueness. The small details have been included in him. His Hellenism, he had a great love for the past literature like Greek. Then medievalism, he always loved to move towards the medieval literature. Keats' nature regarding the poetry was different. He found beauty, and his concept of melancholy was also different. Keats was a poet of beauty and is known for his poetic art, but you can also see the negative capability of him. Keats' odes are very interesting. Keats' treatment of nature is much simpler, more direct and personal than that of Shelley or Wordsworth. He takes childlike delight in external beauty. Keats' love for nature is frankly sensuousness versus spirituality, and Shelley intellectualizes nature. Keats is content to express her through the senses. In Autumn, Keats' sensuousness is universal. His poems show negative capability. A ray of sunlight entering the room could thrill him and transport him to the fairy lands. The song of the nightingale transport him to the fairy lands. Forlorn, this negative capability enables him to enjoy the present beauty of the hour, forgetful of all pains of the life. Shelley loved the dynamic, changing aspect of nature. Keats enjoyed her seeming repose and calmness. There are some different works of Keats here. Endymion, the Lamia, Isabella, the Eve of St. Agnes, To the Nightingale, very interesting poem. Ode on a Grecian urn, you find some of the universal truth in the Grecian urn, that is, beauty is truth, truth beauty. To Psyche, to melancholy, melancholy means the sadness, to Autumn. These are the best works of him. You can see Endymion, Hyperion, Ode to the Nightingale, then the Eve of Saint Mass, Isabella, La Belle Dame Sans Mercy. It means the beautiful lady without mercy, which is a ballad, is very famous. So Lamia is horror and beauty. You see the mystery, charm, fascination connected with the serpent woman whose existence was once a matter of popular belief. So you see, these are the writers of the Romantic era. You just enjoy to read their poems. So we have Blake, Wordsworth, Coleridge. Then we have these are who belong to the first generation. Then we move to the second generation. Byron, Shelley, Keats. They are more interesting, and they are the younger generation. The poets named so far are those who for many years dominated the Romantic canon. That is, thank you, students. We'll begin the same old things and we'll be discussing it in the next class. Okay, thank you.